Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever felt like an outsider, misunderstood, and underestimated? But deep down, you knew you possessed an inner fire, a fierce independence that refused to be quenched? What if your journey through life, filled with hardship and injustice, ultimately led you to a love that was both passionate and profoundly flawed? Today, we're diving into a literary masterpiece, a novel that has captivated readers for over a century and continues to spark endless discussions. Jane Eyre by the brilliant Charlotte Brontë. This isn't just a romance novel, it's a revolutionary tale of an impoverished orphan girl's journey through a harsh, class-bound society, her unwavering fight for self-respect, and her quest for intellectual and emotional equality. It's a Gothic drama, a social critique, and an enduring love story all rolled into one. If you're ready to explore a world of windswept moors, dark secrets, and a heroine who truly stands for herself, then you've come to the right place. Before we delve into the depths of Thornfield Hall, make sure to hit that like button if you appreciate classic literature. Drop a comment below sharing your favorite Brontë novel, and subscribe so you never miss our deep dives into the books that define literary history. Your engagement helps us bring these vital stories to a wider audience. The story of Jane Eyre begins not with romance, but with profound hardship. We meet Jane as a lonely, bullied orphan living with her cruel aunt, Mrs. Reed, and her venomous cousins. This isn't a fairy tale, it's a stark portrayal of childhood neglect and emotional abuse. Jane is constantly reminded of her inferior status, confined to the Red Room as punishment, and subjected to constant psychological torment. This early period establishes Jane's fiery spirit, her fierce sense of justice, and her refusal to be completely broken, even when facing overwhelming cruelty. Her next ordeal is at Lowood Institution, a charity school run by the hypocritical and sadistic Mr. Brocklehurst. Here, Jane endures freezing conditions, meager food, and harsh discipline, all disguised under a veneer of Christian piety. This environment is designed to break spirits and enforce rigid social hierarchies. However, it's also where Jane finds her first true friend, the saintly but doomed Helen Burns, whose gentle acceptance and unwavering faith offer Jane a glimpse of true compassion. Helen teaches Jane the importance of endurance and forgiveness, but also reinforces Jane's conviction that she must live by her own moral compass. Lowood, despite its hardships, provides Jane with an education and a brief respite, preparing her for the next, even more challenging, chapter of her life. These early experiences are crucial. They forge Jane's independent spirit and instill in her a profound desire for respect, autonomy, and emotional warmth. After 8 years at Lowood, Jane, now 18 and yearning for a wider life, takes up a position as a governess at Thornfield Hall. This is where the true heart of the novel begins to unfold. Thornfield is a Gothic mansion, isolated and imposing, with an atmosphere that hints at secrets lurking beneath its grand exterior. It's here that Jane meets her enigmatic and brooding employer, Mr. Edward Rochester. Their relationship is the central axis of the novel. Rochester is not your typical romantic hero. He is older, scarred, tormented by a mysterious past, and often gruff and challenging. Yet Jane, with her sharp intellect and unyielding spirit, finds herself drawn to him. Their conversations are witty, intellectual, and deeply probing, unlike any interactions Jane has ever had before. Rochester recognizes Jane's intelligence and spirit, treating her as an equal, which is a revolutionary concept for a woman of her social standing in Victorian England. He challenges her, teases her, and slowly reveals glimpses of his complex inner world. However, Thornfield is also a house of mysteries. Strange laughter echoes through the halls, ominous events occur, and a shadowy figure seems to haunt the upper floors. These Gothic elements, the eerie atmosphere, the unsettling sounds, the hints of a dangerous secret, build a profound sense of suspense and foreshadowing. Jane's growing love for Rochester is constantly tempered by these unexplained occurrences, creating a powerful tension that drives the narrative forward. We, like Jane, are desperate to understand the darkness lurking beneath Thornfield's surface. The relationship between Jane and Rochester deepens, culminating in a passionate proposal of marriage. For Jane, this is a dream come true, the promise of true love, intellectual companionship, and a home of her own. She finally feels desired and respected. But as they prepare for the wedding, the dark secret of Thornfield Hall explodes into the open in one of the most famous plot twists in literary history. Rochester is already married. His wife, Bertha Mason, is confined to the attic of Thornfield Hall, a madwoman described in terrifying, almost monstrous terms. Rochester reveals his traumatic past, a forced marriage to a woman with a history of mental illness, kept secret to protect his reputation and inheritance. He pleads with Jane to stay with him, to live as his wife despite the legal and moral implications. This moment is the ultimate test of Jane's character and her fierce commitment to self-respect and moral integrity. She loves Rochester deeply, but she cannot compromise her principles. To stay would be to lose herself, to become his mistress, and to defy her own moral code. In a heartbreaking act of self-preservation, Jane chooses to leave Thornfield, leaving behind the only man she has ever truly loved and facing an uncertain, desolate future. This decision is revolutionary for a Victorian heroine. Instead of succumbing to societal pressures or even the overwhelming pull of her own heart, Jane prioritizes her independence and her conscience. After her dramatic escape, Jane finds herself penniless, alone, and on the brink of starvation on the bleak, wild moors. This period is a stark contrast to the passionate drama of Thornfield. It's a brutal reminder of her vulnerability and her true place in society without Rochester's protection. However, fate intervenes, and she is taken in by the Rivers family, St. John, Diana, and Mary. The Rivers family provides Jane with not just shelter, but also a sense of community and intellectual kinship. St. John Rivers, a cold but dedicated clergyman, discovers that Jane is actually their long-lost cousin and that she has inherited a substantial fortune. This revelation is crucial for Jane's independence. She is no longer an impoverished orphan. She is a woman of means, capable of standing on her own. However, St. John, with his zealous and ascetic nature, proposes marriage to Jane, not out of love, but out of a desire for a suitable missionary wife. He wants her to sacrifice her own desires and accompany him to India. This creates a new moral dilemma for Jane. While she respects St. John, she knows that marrying him would mean sacrificing her emotional and intellectual self, echoing the compromises she refused to make with Rochester. It's another powerful moment where Jane chooses personal fulfillment and integrity over societal or religious expectations. Jane eventually hears a psychic call from Rochester and, following her heart, returns to Thornfield. She finds the hall a burnt-out ruin, destroyed by fire, and Rochester blind and maimed, a shadow of his former self, having lost his sight trying to save Bertha, who perished in the flames. This final reunion is profoundly significant. Rochester is no longer the powerful, manipulative master. He is vulnerable, humbled, and completely dependent. Jane, however, is now an independent woman of means, equal in status and fortune. Their love is rekindled, but on entirely new terms of equality, mutual respect, and genuine partnership. The physical and emotional scars of both characters represent their journey through hardship and their ultimate triumph. The novel concludes with their marriage and the famous line, "Reader, I married him," signifying Jane's ultimate fulfillment and autonomy. It's a powerful statement that true love can only thrive when built on a foundation of intellectual, emotional, and social equality. Jane Eyre is a timeless masterpiece that continues to resonate because of its revolutionary heroine. It's a novel that challenges Victorian norms, asserting the right of an independent woman to intellectual and emotional fulfillment. It's a story of resilience, moral courage, and a love that, despite its tempestuous origins, ultimately finds its foundation in equality and respect. Charlotte Brontë created a heroine who, even today, inspires us to hold on to our self-worth, fight for justice, and seek a love that sees and values us completely. If this video inspired you to revisit or discover this amazing classic, please hit that like button to help other literature lovers find it. Comment below and let me know what aspect of Jane Eyre's character you find most inspiring. And of course, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the books that shape our understanding of the world. Thanks for watching, and remember, never let anyone dim your inner fire. We'll see you in the next video.